Ah, is this sweet? I can't tell.
Hi.
Hi. A little bit late
Albums.
on this one.
At least a little bit, but we're doing it anyway.
Holy Grail with Times of Pride and Peril. It's their third album, the follow-up to Ride the Void from a couple years ago.
Like 2013?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy Grail they're just kind of like a straight-up fucking metal band. And yeah, they're a very, very young band. You know, they thrash, they shred, they do a little bit of everything. So we are huge fucking Holy Grail fans. Massive Holy Grail fans. We probably have jammed the shit out of the first two albums. We've opened for this band.
Oh, right. Fuck, right.
We've seen this band a couple times. You know, it's just like we like this band. So here we are. What did you think of their new album?
It's kind of funny that you went on about how much we like
Kind
it.
of funny. Copyright.
Fuck. It's slightly humorous. But I mean, if I'm gonna be 100% honest, and it's only because I like this band so much that I'm disappointed by this album. And it's three things that really get to me about this album. And so I'll go through an order in which of the points of which they get me. So the first thing is the songwriting's kind of weird on this album. Like, just about the only song that I can think of where it doesn't happen is the song Apotheosis, which is right around the middle of the album. Just about every song on this album has at least one point where I'm scratching my head and I don't I'm like, all right, this is different. I don't know what to think about this. And that's consistent throughout the whole album. And sometimes the stuff, it's just a little different, and then other times I'm like, all right, this isn't Holy Grail. Like, and I know, I'm not in the band. I basically don't have the right to say anything like that. But like, it's like the only song that I can genuinely say that I do not like is, make sure I got the name right, Those Who Will Remain. It's the only song that I don't like. And even that song, it's like the middle section is not Holy Grail. Whoa! Yeah! Like, no. And like, the verse riff is like really simple, and I'm like, yeah. And like, maybe if the production was beefier, that riff would be cool. But like, and which I'll get to that part of the issue in a second, but like every song, even the songs that I like I like No More Heroes and Apotheosis are my two favorite songs from this album, and I like Black Lotus a little bit. Black Lotus is a pretty good song, but like No More Heroes, the intro, the song's great, but the intro, I kind of sit there like when it first starts up and it comes in with just like the lead or whatever, I'm just like, I don't know, something just doesn't sit well with me with just how they bring the song in. And I normally don't say this because it doesn't bother me as much, but I think Black Lotus is too fucking long.
Yeah, I agree.
That song is.
Agree with that.
It doesn't need to be 11
10
minutes long. It's 11. I think it's 11.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't need to be 11 minutes long. Like, if you're gonna write a song that long, it needs to flow really well. And honestly, anytime because I've listened to this, because again, we were a little late, so I had a little bit more time to listen to this album, and I listened to it a lot. And like, besides maybe like the first couple times I listen to it, I usually phase out somewhere in the middle of that song. And it's just, that's the problem is, and it's disappointing, but I think it's an extra disappointing because like, an example where it's like most bands, like let's say Super Collider by Megadeth, you're disappointed because even though it's not on that album, you look and you're like, okay, but there's past Megadeth albums where like, okay, Megadeth can do better than this. That's fine. Whereas this album, it's sometimes listening to the very same song. And I'm like, I know you can do better than this. with like some of the things. It just doesn't work. That's my problem. And then the other main issue is the production. Maybe they were like, let's try to go back to what we did on the first album, which is fine. But I even think it sounds muddier than their first album. Like Crisis in Utopia, even though it's a little bit more of a raw, unpolished sound, it was still tight. Whereas this album's not as tight sounding. It sounds a little sloppy. And I love the sound of Ride the Void. Like, it's razor thin. It just cuts so well, and it's beefy, but it's so super clean. Where it's like, and it kind of needs to be because, you know, the number of times and how crazy this band gets with, like, you know, the leads and all that stuff, and their riffs are, you know, especially on like Ride the Void, are fucking nuts. And it's like, you kind of need to have that, and then it's not there. Like, that's my whole issue, is that the album just kind of sits there. And, like, everything else is okay. Like, it's not a bad album. Like, like, in general, the whole thing, I don't think it's not the worst album I've ever heard. But it's just that fact of that I know that they can do better. Which maybe they set themselves up to fail with Ride the Void. Maybe they sat there and they wrote shit with Ride the Void and were like, we can't keep this up of, you know, writing, you know, completely fucking, like, everything being a completely fucking, like, awesome riff. Like, maybe I can get that, because, I mean, the songwriting is a lot simpler on Crisis in Utopia. Like, you know, it is, like, and then you get to Ride the Void, and like I said, it's all, everything's, like, an awesome riff on that album, and everything sounds awesome. But, like, I don't know, it's just... I think it's probably also I had my expectations way too high. I was like, Ride the Void is this band can only go up, and then they didn't. So, I mean, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of feel you on that Ride the Void is so up here to me. You know, that might be in my top 25 albums of all time, favorites to me. Like, I seriously fucking love that album. Songs like, you know, Bestial Triumphance or Dark Passenger, the title track, Crosswinds. Like, fuck, it's so good from start to finish. The whole thing, every song completely kills. There's just one moment after another that just completely blow you away on that album. And, you know, Crisis in Utopia is another just completely killer album from start to finish. And this is, yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with this too. I think I'm mostly disappointed in the production. Ride the Void had such a heavy sound. Like, listen to Dark Passenger. When that song starts, it punches you in the balls, and it is so heavy. And it's just, like, and it's just, they changed their sound a little bit. I just don't think it works. For them, you know, that just clean, just completely heavy fucking production is what helps. Not something that's a little bit, you know, grungier sounding and, you know, just
raw.
Just, yeah, it just doesn't fit to me. Because when they do their shreddiness, it just doesn't sound as good on here. It doesn't sound as clean, and sometimes in the production, the track, it's the 5th track, Descended into the Maelstrom. That is one of the best tracks on here. That opening riff is so good. And then you get to the chorus, which is really good. And the lead over top of it is really solid. But it's pushed so far in the back. And it's like, bring that to the front, bro. Like, come on. And like, stuff like that just kind of bothers me. And I feel that, what's his fucking name? James Paul Luna, the vocalist, just, he's not produced as well, in my opinion. Like, I look at Bestial Triumphants are off of Ride to the Void, and like, I love that chorus. It's so good, and he sounds so good. That chorus makes me want to cry. It's fucking beautiful. You know, and just, I feel it's not him vocally on this album, it's the production of it that just doesn't click with me. But sometimes the songwriting does feel a little weak and slightly uninspired. I mean, those who were Will Remain is probably the least exciting Holy Grail song that they have ever written. I personally don't like Waste Them All Away. I think that's just a kind of a little bit of a generic song. I mean, the opening riff is so cool, and you're getting excited, and then it's just like really short verse, chorus, and the chorus kind of just really repeats itself. Something that look, all choruses repeat themselves, but that one just kind of annoyed me. You know, waste them all away. It's like, I don't know. It's just like it's just like, I know you can do better than that, and that just feels a little bit lazy to me. But then you get to songs like, I think Crystal King is a banging track. Apotheosis is a fucking awesome track. When that riff kicks in Apotheosis, you just fucking lose your mind. It's awesome. And then probably one of the heaviest things that they have ever written is the middle part of that song. Like that just slow, just fucking oh, it's like, I want you to maybe do a little bit more of that, because that is fucking awesome. First time I heard that, I was like, oh, that is so good. And then kind of how it just picks up pace a little bit, you know, halfway through it picks up the beat. You know, it's really, really good. I think too that Black Lotus is a little bit too long, you know. Patria Mori is kind of interesting. I mean, the lead in the beginning is cool, and, you know, but other than that, it's a little bit of a forgettable song to me.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I'll let you finish, because that's just another point that I'll make.
And overall, I mean, look, there's some seriously really awesome riffs on here that just hit you where the feels are, and that you just really like, and riffs that feel very Holy Grail, you know, very thrash inspired, very kind of technical, and very old school inspired as well. You know, there are moments on here that are really awesome. I just feel there's a lot fewer of them than their first two albums. I just feel that's where my disappointment is, because I was thinking it was going to be up here, because they're such a young band and they're so exciting to me, and they just completely knocked it out of the park with their second album. You know, you think that the third album is going to be that much better, because, you know, they've grown as a band and all that stuff, you know, and I just feel they took a slight step back, and that's where my disappointment is. If this was the first album I heard from this band, then I'd probably feel a little bit different, and then go back to listen to their first two and be like, wow, you know, but that's my only thing. I mean, I think vocally James does sound really good. I think Crystal King, right from the start, you know, he very, very high pitched. He has a lot of range to him. He's an awesome fucking vocalist. I just don't think he's produced as well as he should be, and that just kind of hurts a little bit. To me, it's the production and a little bit of the songwriting. But yeah, I'm slightly disappointed with this as well. But like he said, it's not a bad album. To you, it might be an awesome album. To us, it's a little bit disappointing. Because, yeah, I feel that they can do a lot better. Because, last thing I'll say is Apotheosis and No More Heroes are my two favorite songs on here as well. And to me, those two being the best two songs are kind of like being the middle of the pack on Ride to the Void. You know? Or same with Crisis in Utopia. Like, it's up here, and they just kind of hit here, you know? It's just me.
Yeah, okay, the last two things that I wanted to say was, I mean, when I say that, like, it's the songwriting, I really do mean that, like, I just kind of, what I mean by that is, with some of the songs, just like I said, just about every single song, there's something, and then it'll happen, like Sudden Death is one where I think the chorus was the chorus that lost me a little bit, and it's like, and then I kind of just get lost from the song, like it's something where I'm just like, and then it takes me out of it a little bit, and it's usually like the only song that I can genuinely say I'm like yeah, okay, I don't want to listen to this, is For Those Who Will Remain. Every other song is fine, and maybe Black Lotus is because, again, I don't have the time for that. But But I think definitely the second half of the album is a lot better than the first half.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's got like Apotheosis and No More Heroes and Pro Patria Mori, and again Black Lotus is good for a good little bit. Like the individual parts of that song are good, just that it doesn't need to all be together.
Yeah, I agree.
But
yeah, there's some solid stuff on here. Slightly disappointed to us. Let me know what you guys think of. I almost said Ride to the Void. Fuck. Times of Pride and Peril by Holy Grail. Check them out.
Check 'em out.
Bye.
Fuck.